Thank you very much, Michelle. Thank you. Michelle has been very, very instrumental to make this happen today. So I'm very grateful to her. And of course, I'm grateful to the Senior Center, which I consider is a very important institution within the Iowa City Society. And I thank you for coming. I thank you for coming. So, let's start the presentation of today. And I'd like to start it with this question. How often do we look at the sky? Think about it. How many? How often? How many times? Let's be truthful. We do not look at the sky very often. That is why, when we do so, even the most common things could surprise us. Of course, there are the sun and the moon. But look at these images. And nevertheless, you can imagine how many people have been confused by those two celestial bodies, seen under, of course, particular meteorological or psychological circumstances. We can see stars, planets, and comets. And if the sun or the moon could confuse people, imagine what stars or planets could do. The star Sirius, the most brilliant in the sky, planets like Venus and Jupiter figure at the top of the list. And if you see here, you have this astronomically conjunction. When one planet is near the other, or in this case, Venus is near the moon. And some people think that this that I'm seeing is something very, very special. Something that is not common to be seen every day, and that's right. But, of course, it's just the moon, and in this case, Venus. Now, we can see there meteorites on the left, space debris on the right, and fuel venting and gases of a rocket. One is a natural phenomenon, the meteorite. The other two, the result of man-made technology. We have also artificial clouds from the launching of special rockets to study the upper atmosphere. They launch clouds of barium or sodium, and then the meteorologists study these, and they make all these kind of things in the sky sometimes. And once again, you suddenly see that and say, what is this? This is not the kind of flow that you can see when an airplane is going and traces that kind of line of gases in the air. And this is not also natural clouds, but something very special. The International Space Station is one of the motives that you can see in the sky. And by the way, if you go to the ISS webpage, and the NASA webpage, you can get information about when you can see the International Space Station traversing over the sky of Iowa City. I have seen it. And if you look at that schedule, you will see that that day, at that time, looking to the west, the east, or where, you expect that, and if the sky is clear, you will see the International Space Station. It's a very interesting experience. Now we have also some other things that we can see in the sky. For instance, in this case, these are the Japanese information gathering satellites, some of which fly information, and are spy satellites to provide early warning of impending hostile launches in the neighborhood, mainly, as you can imagine, from North Korea. At this moment, 6 are operational of these Japanese spy satellites. Then we have, now it works, the Naval Ocean Surveillance System satellites. The acronym is NOSS, are operated by the United States Navy, and they fly in clusters in low Earth orbit. To what? Well, to detect radar and other electronic transmissions from ships and to locate them. Then we have the Iridium satellites. The Iridium satellites compose a system of 20 new active communication satellites and spares around the Earth. They allow worldwide voice and data communication using handheld devices, those cellular phones that we have. And we need these kind of satellites in order to communicate to each other. They are seeing, the interesting of these satellites is that they could be seen like flashes in the sky. For instance, it's working again. Here are the flashes. You see, there are more than one. There are 4 of them, and they flash in this way. And once again, they are places like Stellarium, which is a computer program that tells you when you can see them. And then you look at the sky and maybe you are lucky to see them. But these flashes are just milliseconds, you know, so you have to be there exactly and waiting for them to see it. Then we have something like, this was the cloud of gases. You would say, what is this? The cloud of gases produced by the launch of the rocket SpaceX Falcon 9. And this was recently, it was just in February 6, 2018. And in this image illustrates how it was seen from California. You see this lady, probably a military lady, and taking shots of this special cloud left by this particular rocket. Other thing interesting are the re-entries of spaceships, like the Russian Soyuz TMA-05M, which is here, and the American capsule Orion, that in the future will take astronauts again to the moon and hopefully to planet Mars. And in the sky, we find clouds. They show many times as a delightful display, like this one, but clouds can also adopt amazing shapes that make some people think that they are seeing something strange, as I'm going to show you now. See different kind of clouds. What we have here, at the left, on the top of the left, here, is what is called a shelf cloud. And quite honestly, when I saw it, it reminded me the movie Independence Day. It's a big thing, enormous thing. And then we have a lenticular cloud, that one. Those generally are seen on top of high mountains, for instance, in the state of Washington. And these kinds of clouds are common, as I say, over the mountains and at heights from 8,000 to 23,000 feet. Along cumulus, standing there, strange shape, but just a cloud, and at an altitude of about 1,000 feet, and then an iridescent cloud, which is really a nice thing to see over there. And there is a decomposition of the light due to thin droplets of water in the cloud. And then these droplets of water function like a prism and then decompose the light, and we have that. Very nice to see, really. And of course, when we look at the sky, we can see airplanes, helicopters, blimps, balloons. We can see also drones, and, well, not so much. But there are some other things in the sky, infrequent natural things that surprise us, natural things that science identified in the 90s. Things created by humans today that appear to be from a science fiction movie. That is why I have the pleasure to present to you about things that could be seen in the sky. A summary of natural phenomena, effects created by technology, and strange devices that you may see in the sky. And let's go to them. A sun dog. Sun dog is this that we have here. And also here. And this picture is from a place very familiar to you, to all of us. Because I took, you see, here is the sun, and here is what we call popularly sun dog. The real name, the technical name is parhelium. Comes from Latin. Well, this picture was taken, I took this picture, I was exiting the store of Hy-Vee store in North Dodge, and suddenly I saw this. And I get my cellular phone and said, no, I'm gonna Snapchat because I don't want to lose it, you know? And so here it is. And then we have what we call pillars, some pillars that are this one, for instance, this one is more clear that the sun is here and the pillar goes there. And then we have all these other things. I saw one coming from Chile to Argentina, and when I was crossing the mountains there, the Andes, I saw this phenomena, exactly like that. And this is called glory. It's a phenomenon of refraction of the sunlight in tiny droplets, similar to what happened with the iridescent cloud, okay? And typically a glory has many colored rings and is seen in the opposition direction of the sun, which means if this is the airplane, the sun is here and the glory will be here. And that is why also you can see the shadow of the sun there and the glory surrounding that shadow. At sunset, refraction bends the light of the sun, like twist the light of the sun. And the atmosphere acts as a prism that decomposes the light of the sun. The phenomenon lasts a second or two. So you have to be there in order to see, otherwise you lost it. There is something that I bet you never see here in Iowa City, and you won't see unless you go to a coastal place. And these are tubular clouds. Anybody of you have seen this? Never, of course. Tubular clouds, called also roll clouds, because they roll around the horizontal axis, are an uncommon phenomenon, usually coastal, as I say, sometimes but not always, associated with a storm. Their highest cloud could be at 3,000 feet, and they could extend for more than 600 miles. It's a real extraordinary thing. Other thing that maybe you can see is holes in the clouds. Uh-huh. Yeah. Somebody say, a little child say, oh, donuts. No. Holes in the clouds. They form in the clouds of supercooled water droplets, water below the 32 Fahrenheit degrees, but not yet frozen. And when ice particles form quickly, they get heavier and then start to fall all at a sudden, leaving a large hole in the cloud. And this is what happened. So the ice fell down, suddenly forms and fell down, and there is this hole in the clouds. Something very special now. Sprites. Here is the explanation. Stratospheric and mesospheric perturbation resulting from intense thunderstorm electrification. They are very, very impressive. I can tell you that pilots say, we have seen them, but science accepted that they exist in 1994. So we can imagine how many times pilots say, we have seen something like this, and these guys are crazy. No. Yes, they are natural phenomena. And those gigantic formations of plasma in the sky, look at this. And here below is the city. And this is enormous there, very, very high in the atmosphere. Here we have a schematic display, I'm going to show you now, of how these high sprites develop and which are the three constitutive parts of them. Oops. Let's go here. Okay. Here is another one. This one to the left was photographed by scientists of Canadian University. They went up to 10,000 feet with special cameras and so on, and they were able to photograph this. And later, astronauts of NASA said, we have seen it. And then science said, well, yes, we have confirmation that they exist. And here you see the three parts, okay? What they call the hair, here, the head, and the tendrils that go down. And this is atop of a thunderstorm cloud. So they are very, very high. Here is another electrical phenomenon, what they call the blue jet. That's a reversed lightning. Lightning goes from up down. Now this goes from down up, from a cloud. Start in the upper part of the cloud and projects upward. It's another special phenomenon. And then we go to ELVs. Once again, emission of light and very low frequency perturbations due to electromagnetic sources. It's a phenomenon happening above the sprites. We have the sprites, even above them, there's this phenomenon. Here is the definition of this phenomena occur high above in the atmosphere. Let's come now down. And if we come down, we have something that maybe you could have experienced or not. This is called ball lightning. Ball lightning, this is a natural formations of ionic plasma in the atmosphere that form during storms and can be seen at different heights, even near the ground. And although they are usually slow electrical discharges, sometimes they can explode, causing thunderous noise and material damages. I saw, for instance, a home who got burned partially because of one ball lightning. Yeah. Now, there is another phenomenon. This can be seen on top of masts, eaves, and fences. They are slow electrical discharges. They are not violent like ball lightning. They're different. If you are near them, you can hear a hissing sound. And they are called St. Elmo's fire. As we see in this graphic, all these phenomena, sprites, elves, ball lightning, St. Elmo's fire, are different manifestations of electrical discharges. But there are other kind of lights. Generically called anomalous luminous phenomena, or just simply lights. These lights are seen not everywhere, but in certain areas of the world. That is the case of the Marfa lights in Texas, seen near the small town of Marfa, where there is a plaque with the history of these lights, first seen by rancher Robert Ellison in 1883, and a sign giving orientation to the tourist. Here the plaque, and here, you see, visit viewing area, you have to go over there. More important are the Hessdalen lights. Oh, my goodness. Which occur in the Hessdalen Valley in Norway, where they are studied by scientists from different countries within the project developed by the Østfold University. They are radar, video cameras, spectroscopes, magnetometers, all connected with computers, plus recorders are the main instruments to observe and register the lights. It is already known that they are the product of a geological formation of the area, but they are still not totally explained. And I can say that 42 scientists and technicians all over the world are studying this anomalous luminous phenomenon. And here are a summary of their main characteristics. They float, zigzag, bounce, trace arcs, advance and recede, appear and disappear. These are these kinds of lights. If you meet with one of them, don't think they are ghosts. They are these kind of lights. But as I say, they only could be seen in certain particular places of the planet. Another extraordinary phenomenon are the so-called earthquake lights, as you can see here. Earthquake lights. There was an earthquake in China, another in Chile, this one, latest one is in Mexico. And they usually appear seconds before the earthquake itself. Before the earthquake itself. They appear there and they can see. Of course, it's a warning, but it's a warning not too much previous to the earthquake, you know. But yes, and a man named Friedman Freund, an adjunct professor of physics at the San Jose State University and a senior researcher at NASA's Ames Research Center, explained the phenomenon. He says, when nature stresses certain rocks, electric charges are activated, as if you switch on a battery in the Earth's crust. The charges can combine and form a kind of plasma-like state, which can travel at very high velocities and burst out at the surface to make electric discharges on the air. And those are the lights that can be seen. Those discharges are what makes the colorful light shows. That's what he says. In 1989, researcher Paul Duverey published in England the book Earth Lights Revelation, where he mentions an area between Bournemouth and Harlech in northwest Wales. A historical survey and a thorough study of the area revealed that the lights were seen within a strip coincident with geological faults. And you can see there that the lights appear all this way down, and here in black is the geological fault. So there is a coincidence. The lights could have different colors, although white, orange, dark red, and golden yellow are predominant. The diameter could go from a ping pong ball to a yard. The most common size is that of a basketball. They can produce humming or hissing sounds. They can be near the ground or some 100 feet above. They are well related, once again, with plasma. And plasma is by far the most common form of matter. Plasma is in the stars and in the tenuous space between them, and makes over 90% of the visible universe, and perhaps most of that which is not visible. On Earth, we live upon a kind of island of ordinary matter. The different states of the matter generically found on Earth, we know, are solid, liquid, and gas. We have learned to work, play, and rest using these familiar states of matter. But Sir William Crookes, an English physicist, identified a fourth state of matter, now called plasma, in 1879. Plasma consists of a collection of free moving electrons and ions, atoms that have lost electrons. And energy is needed to strip electrons from atoms to make plasma. The energy can be of various origins. For instance, thermal, electrical, or light. When these things turn on, what they have inside is a gas that turns on plasma as soon as they get electricity. So we are familiar with plasma. Every time we see in a store a neon sign or something like that, well, they are using plasma. And plasma can be accelerated and steered by electric and magnetic fields. But my friends, this is not all. There are still other things. Yes, of course, that you can see in the sky. Ah. We have daylight balloons. This one here is used by high school students to study the effects of sun, because the air that is inside there is heated, and then the balloon starts to go up and moving, of course, by the wind. This other one is totally different, as you can see. There is people here, and there is a very special kind of balloon to take a tour in the air. And they are night balloons. Some of them are fixed. Like, for instance, this one here, you can see some cables there, here, and they illuminate a party or maybe some game, sports, so on. And then there are the others who are loose and they go with the winds, like this one. There were people celebrating their marriage and they launched this one. Or this one, more common, what they call the Chinese lanterns. Night balloons. And there, of course, are scientific balloons, like the ULD, ultra long duration. This one, that is seen like this, and far away in the night could be seen like this. And those are launched every year by NASA from the Antarctica, and they can be flying for months, covering a large area of the American continent. Many important scientific observations in fields such as hard X-ray and gamma ray and infrared astronomy, cosmic rays and atmosphere studies have been made from these balloons. And now we have the balloons belonging to Google Project Loon, which is this one here, surrounded by people before they were launched. And these balloons of Google allows people that are living in areas almost not populated or poor areas where they don't have easy access to the internet. So these balloons make possible for them to get in contact and communicate. Then something special, a formation of 91 skydivers. Of course, you won't see it every day, but just in case, it is good to know that it is particularly if you see them from a distance. And you see that and you say, what is that? It's not an airplane. It's not a helicopter. It's not the moon or the sun or whatever. What is that? It's just strange, but those are skydivers. And also, we can see sometimes a light, round light, in very low clouds. That is the product of a searchlight, of a floodlight, pointing to the clouds. Usually cumulonimbus, storm clouds. Those one very dark gray that when we see, we say, it's gonna rain, right? Well, these kind of clouds. And so we see this round thing there. Now, if someone happens to move the searchlight, I assure you that someone will report that as, I saw something strange in the sky. And I know that because it happened. And this is more important, flares. Flares used mostly in military exercises, launched from the ground, like here, or from airplanes, like here. They illuminate very clearly one area, but a big area. And they stay in the sky for a while because they are equipped with a small parachute and then start to fade out and disappear. They could be seen from many miles away. Now, how can you know if they are flares or not something else? Well, the rule is this. The first one to turn on is the first one to go off. Okay? So if you see these lights and you see, oh, but is there something big behind these lights or not? Wait a minute. And they start to disappear one by one. And the first that appear will be the first that will disappear. Okay? Another thing that could catch your attention in the night are advertising planes. Okay? You're looking at the sky and something that's strange. What is that? Advertising planes. And since we were children, we know well what a kite is. But there is a new generation of kites, and they are called rotatory kites. And that's why what they do. Some of them, like the one here, are used to produce electricity. The others are just for fun. Rotatory kites. I never had them when I was a child. And we have experimental devices. Look at those shapes. Look at those things. Let's see. In the first row, here, we have the NASA Maxwell X-57 total electrical airplane, this one. Then we have the supersonic biplane, a project from the MIT and the Stanford University, this one here. Then we have the Department of Defense Argus, flexible autonomous blimp, this one. And NASA Solar Eagle, this one. In the second row, there are NASA Solar Pathfinder, and you see that they bent in the air. Then you have the NASA AD experiencing with oblique wing. NASA blended wing body, the future of aviation, even commercial aviation. And bomber oblique supersonic wing, this one. And in the third row there are the Northrop Grumman Long Endurance Multi-Intelligence Vehicle, this one. Its production stopped in 2013 for lack of funds, but now it's in Great Britain. The SR-72, successor of the famous SR-71 Blackbird. This will be an unmanned hypersonic airplane expected to fly at 6 times the speed of sound. So maybe you take it in Cedar Rapids and in just minutes are in Los Angeles. It's a good thing. Let's go to other. Beware of drones. When you look at the sky, beware that now there are drones during the day, but also during the night. If you see this and this, you say, oh, what's that? Well, most probably will be a drone. And then, of course, we have, finally, military drones, unmanned aerial vehicles and unmanned combat aerial vehicles. The unmanned aerial vehicles are UAVs and the combat are UCAVs. And here I'm going to show you then in the first row, there's the British UAV Taranis. No, excuse me. The Chinese Harbin aircraft saucer. Then there is the British Aesir saucer and the Iranian Sohar, which means Saturn. In the second row, now yes, this is the Taranis from the Great Britain. This is the French Dassault Neuron. This is the Lockheed Martin Fury 150 UAV. In the third row, the Lockheed Martin P-175 Polecat UAV, the General Atomics CA Avenger UAV, and the Northrop Grumman US Navy Unmanned Combat Air System. These are really brand new. And well, after all you have seen, I hope that the next time that you look at the sky, you won't get confused by a natural phenomena or by products of technology. But if you see something that you consider it's really strange, please contact me. Take note of my email and you write me there, okay? And I'll be pleased to assist you if I can. Thank you so much for your patience. Thank you so much. Now, if there are questions, just 4 questions no more, I will take them. If there are no questions, better.
I was curious actually about the green flash. Is that more, are there like elevation, where I've seen it, I've usually been up higher, looking down at a body of water.
Mm-hmm. The green flash?
Yeah, the green flash. Is there any rhyme or reason to when you see it?
I'm trying to remember.
The sunset.
Oh, at the sunset. Oh, yeah, at the sunset. Yes, 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 yes. You will see there, on top of the water, certain level, not too much, and then go down and disappear.
Right.
Yes, yes.
So when are you more likely to see it?
At the sundown.
Right, I understand that.
Yeah,
And that's when I've seen it, but
that's it.
that's the only.
That's the only opportunity. Never when the sun is is rising, and never when the sun is up. Just when it goes down.
Well, I just mean I've seen it in Michigan when I've been high on a hill. I've
Mhm.
seen it in Morocco when I've been high on a hill.
Mhm.
I've looked for it lots of times in Mexico,
Mhm.
just on the beach.
Mhm.
Never seen it.
Well, maybe you have to be in a high position to see it. You see?
Right, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Another question? Yes, sir.
Did you see I just saw it last night, that we've announced that we have a new launch pad. It has 2 cabins with a long wing. They had to build a special hangar to build it in, and it will actually take off and take the missile up into the stratosphere and then shoot off from there. Did you see the announcement?
No, probably a project, a brand new project, but I have been following until the latest things, and I haven't seen that. But every day, I would say that science is like the song says about the New York City. It doesn't sleep. So at any time there is something new that is coming. And with technology, worst. Because today there's nothing, and tomorrow there appears someone who says, well, we invented this and we want to try tomorrow, and so and so. And there is a creative capacity, enormous thing. And that is some of the things that particularly, I would say, defines, one of the things that defines the character of the United States of America. That capacity of thinking and creating permanently, and that is not commonly seen in other countries. Not that it's not seen, but not as in the way it happens here, and at the rhythm it happens here. And of course, particularly, the space is a kind of particular attraction for the development of different experimental and finally operational devices, and nothing to say about the military, because they are permanently creating things. And many times we don't know that they exist. Even, they are what they call black budgets, where even the congressmen don't know exactly what are they going to do with those funds. They just say, well, we have to approve those funds for some things, and they have to approve. So yes, there are some things that are really secret. But one day you see them flying and say, oh my goodness, what is that? Well, that's it. Another question. We have 4, 3, 2 more.
So do you feel that there are no outer space things, that it's all natural phenomena or technology that can be explained? That the things
If I
they
feel
saw
that they are
in
not
the
what?
50s, 60s, and 70s that they thought were from outer space? UFO.
I didn't refer to that, and I said that the question has been directly referred to what I say. Okay? Any other question?
Do you feel there's enough funding going to science for these things?
I think so, although at the level of universities, it's always a struggle. They have to look for funds and work hard to get funds. And it's more difficult now than before. I can say that because my son works at the university here. And they are studying and thinking, how can we get more money? What kind of project we can present that assures us that maybe we get money? But, for instance, the last 3 days, there were a special symposium at the university dealing with this real plague of the so-called opioids. And there were physicians and people of other departments. My son is from the Department of Computer Sciences, but they were together thinking about, and they have some ideas now that came out from that symposium, 3 days, debating what could be done in order to deal with this problem that he told me that in Iowa City is not, in Iowa in general is not too much affected, no. But in other parts of the country, yes, and too much. So whatever it could be done, it will be for anyone in the United States and will be very important, really. Okay? Thank you. Thank you very much.